Hey gang, thanks for tuning in. I'm doing this very, very special report on these late allegations, these crazy allegations against Vince McMahon. But I wanted to give you a heads up before we get started. There are some pretty crazy things in this story that unfortunately we have to go into some detail on. So please use discretion. Let's get started. This is the fall of Vince McMahon. Hey guys, welcome back to part 9 of the fall of Vince McMahon. If you've been with us until now, thank you so much for staying with us. This story is very interesting and will continue to get interesting. Let's get into it. So quickly to review part 8. Part 8 covered the events of fall 2020 to summer 2021. That's a big hunk of time, called John Laurinaitis Enters the Frame. And what we kind of talked about was how this new balance got established, how John Laurinaitis got brought into it, how it got brought in through threesomes, how Vince originally started as the main conduit, how Vince basically began pimping her out, specifically to John Laurinaitis, how they would have these morning events where she would basically meet him at a hotel room at Vince's behest. She has been promoted. She's been moved over to the talent relations department, overseen by John Laurinaitis, and she's sort of gotten this promotion to VP of operations, director of operations, on the promise that there will be a VP opportunity. Her salary is increased from $75,000 a year to $200,000 a year. And again, I'll just sum it up with this one quote from paragraph 178. Professionally and personally, Miss Grant's fate was entirely in the hands of McMahon, Laurinaitis, and the other WWE executives who enabled her abuse. I think that sums it up perfectly. And I believe it ends with, in June 14th, 2021, Grant requests no more sexual encounters with Laurinaitis. Vince agrees, but says the threesomes must continue. Okay, part 9. The assault at WWE headquarters. So, remember, on June 14th, she says, I don't want to have any more sexual encounters with Laurinaitis. And Vince says, the threesomes must continue. Fine, but the threesomes must continue. So the next day, June 15th, 2021, Grant tells Vince that she is working on an important project and can't do a threesome this week, but offers to do one the following week instead. And you can see the text message communication between them. It's very weird. It's very pimp and prostitute-like. It's very like, hey, Johnny really wants to see you on Thursday. Oh, no, I really can't. I'm super busy, and it's going to be a real distraction. You know, it's really hard for me. You know, can it be next week? Kind of a thing. Just this very odd dynamic between the two of them, especially given remember, this is all against the backdrop of a professional relationship. I don't know where they're texting each other from. And again, remember, Vince said we should only have verbal communication. And yet he is still communicating over text message. So that goes into that cat and mouse topic that I talked about a couple episodes ago. The claim in the lawsuit is that Grant was forced into a violent sexual encounter with both Vince and Laurinaitis on a conference room table, each man taking turns holding her down for the other, despite her pleas to stop. This is a difficult one to read. Basically, she is forced into a private conference room on Vince's end of the building. I believe it says the door is locked, but I'm not for certain on that. And that basically each one of them has their way with her, so to speak, and she is physically held down by the other one. At the same time. This occurs on 6:15. I believe it was like on lunch break or something. Like she gets called down to Vince's office at like 11:30 in the morning or something like that when this allegedly occurs. About a week later, on 6/23, June 23rd, 2021, Vince brings Grant down to his personal locker room at WWE HQ in the middle of the workday, and he forces himself on her on a massage table. So this sort of is a similar instance to what I outlined a couple of episodes ago there is a again, Vince finds these private areas, these conference rooms, these locker rooms, these areas to have these explicit encounters with her inside his company. Again, we talked about sort of the lines bleeding between professional and personal, and obviously no greater way to blur the lines between professional and personal than to have an encounter like this inside WWE headquarters. Later that day, $15,000 in Bloomingdale's gift cards are delivered to Grant, to Grant's assistant. I believe she has an assistant at this point, and Grant's assistant receives those Bloomingdale's gift cards. On multiple occasions, Grant was made to give Laurinaitis oral sex at his command in his office. So once again, you don't just have Vince sort of taking her to this other area to doing these things. You have Laurinaitis directly in his office in the middle of the workday, being asked to perform these acts. What would happen is Grant would begin to sexually distance herself from Laurinaitis, and when that would happen, he would professionally distance himself from her, making her feel professionally very unstable. So again, there's no real specific examples that are given in the lawsuit in this, but basically what they're saying is that, she maybe wouldn't be as enthusiastic, wouldn't be as open, wouldn't pick up the phone for him or answer his texts or emails as quickly as she'd like, and he would start to maybe be a little bit more distant professionally, maybe wouldn't give her particular assignments, wouldn't pay particular professional attention to her, wouldn't like her ideas as much, wouldn't pursue her professional ideas quite as closely. So again, sort of exerting the level of quid pro quo control that he has over the situation. Again, this is what the lawsuit alleges. It alleges that there was this direct relationship between her doing sexual favors for him and him professionally doing favors for her, and then vice versa. When the sexual favors dry out, then the professional favors start to dry out as well. So that's it. This one was mercifully short this time. That is part 9, the assault at WWE headquarters. We see the overarching theme here. We kind of see everything that we talked about coming together. The control of Vince, him having his way with her on WWE premises. We talk about the blurring of the lines between personal and professional by doing these acts on WWE grounds during the workday. We talk about the control with him forcing himself on her on a massage table, and then sort of, I don't know if it's bribery or if it's guilt or whatever, but delivering these $15,000 in Bloomingdale's gift cards to her that same day. We talk about her requesting not to have any more sexual encounters with Laurinaitis, and Vince supposedly saying yes, and then still being expected to perform sexually for Laurinaitis in WWE headquarters during the workday. And then we talk about sort of that balance. So you can just really see all of the things that we've been talking about for the last 8 episodes are really starting to come to a crescendo. Everything is sort of coming together all at once, and the chaos is just becoming totally, totally insane. The chaos, the control, the insanity is just growing totally ridiculous, honestly. Part 10, God, where can it go from here, right? Lord God, where does it go from here? Part 10 is titled Grant Meets the Talent. This covers the summer and winter of 2021. And we see, I'm going to say it again, take a drink if you've got it, the escalation of now, first we had Vince sort of pimping out her the explicit content that she was showing to him. Vince pimping her out to people in his personal circle, this personal trainer, this physical therapist, Then him pimping her out to John Laurinaitis explicitly. Now we have him pimping her out to literally the talent, the unnamed WWE superstar who you have to be living under a rock to not know who they are. So next time we will get into that. Please stick around for it. If you stuck around with us for this long, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't checked out parts 1 through 9 to get a good picture of this story, we're trying to put everything into context of the whole thing. So please check that out and keep watching so we can keep wrestling with the business.